Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the BEA number 10 Fly kit in a B finish. This is their fly sensor, a complete kit in a B for black finish is what it is. This is comprised of many items, and I'm going to take you on a visual tour of them now. Here's the sensor portion. That's obviously the business end, and that's what it is. When the documentation says it'll fit in the palm of your hand, indeed, here it is. Okay. The kit includes not only the passive infrared detector, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Okay. It will include the sealing kit. You get the idea that's going to snap right into there. A sealing mount. You will get a, this is called, well, these standard mounting brackets will mount on either side of the detector, like this, to allow for a surface mount, certainly, which of course you can tailor its angle as attached. You will get what I believe is called the surface adapter, okay, where this will be very commonly seen in applications above doorways. Your adapter fits down below. You've got that snap trim on the back that mounts to the header generally, then the cover, once the detector is installed, snaps on. You know, let me give you dimensions of these pieces. Overall, yeah, this is the surface mount adapter. This is the 10FSA-BLK. About 4 3/4 overall width. Overall height's about 2 1/16. The sealing adapter, and that part number is listed as is the surface mount adapter. This is the 10FCA-BLK. The overall width of the sealing adapter, about 3 5/8. Overall depth, about 1 9/16 inches. Okay. So you're going to get the standard mount, which are just these two clips. Then you will have the ability for this surface adapter and the sealing adapter. So 3 stock mounts for you. Give you an idea, back to the detector itself. Overall width of the detector is about 2 inch by about 1 1/16. And overall depth of the body looks like it's about 1 5/8, 1 11/16. You will get with this, of course, the cable, which is, I understand this to be 9 foot long. We'll confirm that in a moment. Okay. Then you're going to get a couple of, other than screws and templates for the sealing and surface mount adapter, screws for the mount itself, you will get these 2 items. Now, these 2 items. These 2 pieces of plastic, those are called sensing field adjustment masks, which we'll go over in a moment. You can basically modify these by removing pieces so as to act as blinders on the face of the detector from inside of this, and we'll open this up in a moment. So they give you 2 of these. You're able to tailor the detection area by installing one of these masks, is what it is. So that's the, and it's available in white as well, by the way. You change that B to a W, and that's the white version. So the Fly, which is available in the 2 finishes, but also the ERT version, which is going to stand for an enhanced relay time, extended relay time, that will allow you to have an either sensing time of 15 or 30 seconds, whereas the standard is either half of a second or 2 seconds. So an application in that sort of scenario where you might want to have extended relay time. I designed a system for a client one time who wanted to have the ability to automatically open the door for clients that were approaching an exit door from the inside of a storage facility, a you store it sort of place. They wanted that door to automatically open, but the door also had a mag lock on it. So people could get in from the exterior with a key card and a mag lock. So we were able to use the Fly with an extended relay time to allow the door to open, okay, release the mag lock, allow the door to open, but keep the relay time on long enough so that there could be a quick re-entry should there need to be. The door closer was closing the unit down very fast, and it seems the clients were going through the door but immediately need to come back in, sort of situation. So the client wanted it specifically designed to allow for a system where they had 30 seconds before it would relock the mag lock. Was the application where I used the extended relay time, but there'd be really countless situations where you need to have that input happening for longer than either a half or 2 seconds, which is the standard setting that you have. So the Fly is designed for use on request to exit sort of applications where indeed you have mag locks, electric strikes, some sort of electrified locking hardware on doors that are equipped with either automatic or manual door closers. Now, this is a PIR, passive infrared, that uses a what they call a digital analysis for activation. The bottom line is it's detecting heat. So, in the explanation of how it works also shows how it's not best used as well. So if you have a background, and that background is basically room temperature, when something that's warmer, when a person walks in front of that background, the temperature goes up. The Fly can detect that. Okay, so that works great in that scenario. A scenario where it doesn't work great is where you have a hospital application and you will be approaching the doorway with 6 or 7 feet or 8 feet length of a gurney or a stretcher. That object is room temperature, and the motion is not going to trigger the Fly. So that would certainly be an application where the Fly is probably not the best sort of option. So it's sensing heat, which is good in the sense that anything inanimate, anything that's not giving up off a higher sort of heat signature won't trigger it. So if you had something that would pass in front of the Fly, imagine maybe an application where there was, maybe an exterior application, I suppose, where you had a discarded piece of trash that would, get moved along the doorway, from wind. That wouldn't trigger it. So you'll have to keep in mind how it does work. And quite frankly, you might find searching online for a fuller definition of PIR, or passive infrared, helpful to you designing your application. And then, of course, the BEA does go on to discuss how the PIR works in the link to the installation instructions below this video in an application where it's not best used. The key advantages are indeed fast detection, adjustable sensing fields, and no false detection from inanimate objects. For added relay hold time, the Fly ERT model allows you to go either 15 or 30 seconds. Now, there is the link that I've referred to below this video to the installation instructions. We'll get to more in a moment. There is a link below this video to a document called Cut Sheet. That's very handy only because it shows you the dimensional properties of the Fly with its 2 surface-mounted standard clips, okay, that are fully adjustable. And that is going to be where you're going to have, you'll have these 2 screws that will hold the clips onto the body. You'll get screws for everything, is the bottom line. So the cut sheet's helpful there for that purpose. There's also a link to a document called Technical Data, which I think would be better called a product brochure, really. It will show you an overview of the Fly kit, of the Fly, as it's installed in its 3 variants, with the different mounting options. It will show you that you've got a 10-foot wide by 7-foot deep sensing area that's 7 foot tall, which is very handy and helpful to know, which from the factory is a standard sensing sort of area. Product brochure will talk about the advantages or the features of the Fly, such as it's cost effective. It's a very inexpensive way to add a PIR detection to a doorway. Its microprocessor is highly accurate in terms of its detection zone, and you can alter or modify the detection zone per your exact requirements. The PIR technology is very reliable for request to exit applications. Dip switches, which we'll show more about in a moment when we open it up, and sensing field masks allow for custom user-defined settings. We'll also talk about that when we get to the installation instructions. And then again, the ERT version is available. The second page of the product brochure shows, just gives more technical data in terms of incoming power requirements, how the hold time, what the options are in terms of hold time, operating temperature, minimum, maximums, things of that nature. Now the final link is the link to the installation instructions, and that's really the go-to document and will certainly be included with your package. Page 1 we've actually already covered, which shows the unit, its overview, and its technical specifications. Page 2 talks about specific installations. Obviously, step 1 is going to be to turn off the power before you wire anything to that system. Then it's going to get into removing the cover of the sensor, and we're going to do that next so I can show you what the inside of it looks like. Okay, so removing the cover, basically, and I did it off camera, is simply depressing this tab that you will see on either side, and it's shown literally on page 2, is simply how you remove the cover from the unit. That will show you the dip switches. Okay, and the dip switches really allow you the settings of the unit itself. And since we're talking about them, let's just go right to the dip switches, which are defined on page 3. Dip switch 1 which will be on this side, 1. I'm not going to get the camera to easily focus on that. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. 1 is for the sensitivity. The factory setting is high. You can tailor that, I suppose, should you need to. I don't run into instances where that really needs to be tailored at all. Okay, the dip switch 2 is the relay. Relay output, either passive or active, and obviously that's going to help you work with an additional piece of hardware, of course, electrified hardware. 3 is the hold time. This is the Fly, not the Fly ERT, so that dip switch 3 is going to allow you either the on setting of 2 seconds or the off setting of a half of a second. So those are your dip switch settings. And you don't need to do, if the factory settings are exactly what you need, then simply don't remove the cover would be my suggestion. There's physically no reason to actually remove it from the unit. Okay, now back to page 2. What you're going to see is the ability to, well, actually, if you have to detail the detection area. Now, the detection area is shown how you will go about modifying this, and you'll do that with a very sharp sort of X-Acto blade situation. To adjust the field, remove the segments of the lens with a diagonal cutter or a similar tool. Okay? And that will snap into. Okay, if you need to modify the detection area, you'll simply install this after making the corrections, and that's why they give you 2, down into the back side of the cover. This mask will only fit in one way. There will be one way where it obviously does not fit very well, and then there will be another way that it does fit correctly, and that is because they've modified the width of these pieces to literally fit in only one way You put it in one way but not the other, so there's no harm of getting that incorrect. So having said that, you can only put this back on one way, so you're prevented really from getting it incorrect is what I'm trying to say. The images below on page 2 will show you how you can detail the sensing area. And you'll obviously need to do a little bit of experimentation, I suppose, along with the physical position if you've got it surface mounted on the 2 brackets, so that would work out well for you. Very typical and common, although 10 foot by 7 foot, so if you don't need to modify that, then you're in good shape. Step 3 does show you how to reinstall the mask, so there's not a lot of fear of getting that incorrect. Okay. Step 3, of course, again, talks about the dip switch settings, which we've already covered. And then, of course, physical installation, using the templates, marking everything. Mark all your holes, double check all your holes to not drill anything unnecessary. You will have then on page 4 the definition of the terminals. Your 1 and 2 are your power. 3 is the relay. 4 and 5 normally open, normally closed. 3, 4, and 5 are your relay. Common, normally open, normally closed. And then some troubleshooting on the bottom of the page 4. Now the name BEA is synonymous with hardware that allows you to communicate with automatic door closers very commonly. You're going to see BEA products ubiquitously. Their Eagle motion sensor, you will see that installed, and it's kind of a half moon shape and probably about 4 or 5 inches wide. You'll see that all the time. But not only that, of course, you're going to see switches, 4.5-inch square stainless steel push switches that you'll have on automatic doors. Obviously inside of there it's either going to be hardwired, but very commonly wireless, so that transmitter is inside of there. A cherry switch connected to with flag connectors to a transmitter. Then of course you'll have a receiver on the unit itself. So BEA sells all that material, and in order to familiarize yourself with their product line, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up the current BEA product catalog. That's number 1. Number 2, a link to their website. And then, of course, finally, all of the BEA products that we sell. If you have a system by LCN, Stanley, Norton, the names just continue on, and you're looking for a receiver, a transmitter, a sensor, it's very likely that was originally a BEA product, and I, quite frankly, find it helpful to go to the BEA catalog when trying to identify something, because their catalog is the comprehensive resource for that material. If you have any questions on the BEA 10 Fly kit in a black finish or any other BEA product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.